Hello everyone and welcome to a game I will not describe before showing it to you as it would just spoil too much fun. It's a game from round 5 of the Croatian Grand Chess Tour being played in Zagreb. It's Shakhriyar Mamedyarov versus Levon Aronian. Like I said, I will not mention anything about the game, but we can check a few photos. So here's a very nice photo of the 5 players. As we didn't have a photo challenge in quite some time now, you should be able to name all of these players here without much trouble, as we've seen them so many times here. All 5 photos are courtesy of Leonard Otis, official photographer of the Grand Chess Tour. So there you have it, a nice photo challenge for you. And also here we have, as we don't have a photo of this matchup, we do have a nice photo of Levon Aronian. Like we always mention, he is, well, always the most colorful person in any tournament. So there you have it. Let's just enjoy that for a second. And now let's enjoy this game. Or don't, you'll have to decide for yourselves. We have d4 by Mamedyarov and knight to f6. We have c4, e6, knight to c3, and now bishop to b4, the Ragozin defense. We have knight to f3, d5, and now queen to a4 check, forcing knight to c6 as the bishop here is under attack. We have knight to c6 now, blocking check, defending the bishop here, and bishop to g5 by Mamedyarov. D captures on c5, and now a3. Asking, do you want to move with the bishop? Do you want to capture on c3? Black captures, it is the main line. B captures, and now queen to d5 from Levon. We have bishop captures on f6, g captures on f6, and now as Levon does have the semi-open g file for attack, we have g3 by white. We have bishop to d7, preparing to castle queenside, perhaps also threatening some nasty discoveries here. So Mamedyarov has to retreat with the queen. We have queen to c2, and now knight to a5, going for the juicy b3 square, as it is a lovely outpost for black's knight. We have e4 by Mamedyarov, pushing back the queen, and now queen to d6, pressuring the a3 pawn. And now comes bishop to g2. Mamedyarov is ready to castle kingside, and there is one game in the database where queenside castle was played here, but with knight to b3 here by Aronian, and it is now, as of this moment, move 13, that we have a completely new game. So what do you do here? Your rook is under attack and you have to decide what to do. If you play something like rook a2, then your rook will be passive for quite some time now. For example, if you push e5, white will have to decide what to do. Black is threatening to open lines and your king is still in the center. You will most likely have to castle, and then you will have your rook on a2, which is not something you want. And Mamedyarov already had his fair share of, of passive positions in this tournament. So instead, Mamedyarov after knight b3 goes rook to d1. And here Aronian says, well, okay, that's a nice pawn. Just queen captures on a3. We have castles here. Queenside castle by Aronian, and now comes queen to e2, going after the c4 pawn. We have bishop to b5, defending the pawn, and now rook to b1. So now pinning the knight as the bishop here is undefended. Levon defends it with c6, and here comes rook f to d1. And as Aronian now has the passed a pawn, he starts pushing it with a5, preparing to move the queen and continue pushing his passed pawn. Probably going to go something like king c7, put a rook behind a passed pawn, as you should always do, and then continue playing the game. And here, Mamedyarov, of course, wants to get rid of Aronian's pesky knight on b3 by playing knight to d2. But he should first prepare it with queen to e3, and there's a good reason why he should prepare it with queen to e3. But he doesn't. He plays knight to d2 without preparing it. And now, of course, you all see what Levon plays here. Or if you don't, feel free to pause the video and try to find this very nice idea. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent sacrificer of knights. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, knight captures on d4. It's just a wonderful idea. Mamedyarov already gave up the a pawn, so Levon now says, okay, I will give you the knight for 2 more pawns, and I have 4 pawns I'm ready to push on the queen side, and you have no pawns to oppose them, which is pretty much insane. With c captures on d4, rook captures on d4, and now what do you play here? Black has these 4 lovely pawns that he's ready to push, and you have to create some sort of a defense. We have rook to a1, first attacking the queen, and now queen to b2. Mamedyarov also could have gone for queen to b4, because now rook b1 doesn't really push away the queen. You're just going to play c3, attack the knight, attack the queen, and black is just perfectly fine here. I mean, black is winning here in this position. But Aronian played queen to b2, also a very nice move. Now comes rook a to b1, and now he plays c3, attacking the knight, defending the queen, also attacking the queen with the bishop. Here we have queen to f3, and now again you're playing black here. Feel free to pause the video and try to find the best continuation for black here. I'll give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent player of games that were not described at the beginning of the video. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, rook captures on d2. And now what can white play here? Other than capturing the queen, there isn't a good move here. You have to capture the queen, otherwise you're just worse. And well, you can just basically you have to pretend here that this is exactly what you wanted, and you have to capture the queen. So we have rook captures on b2, c captures on b2, and now bishop to f1. You can't really capture the rook, otherwise black gets another queen into the game. So here we have bishop to f1, opposing the very strong bishop on b5, but this also doesn't work, unfortunately, for Mamedyarov. So feel free to pause the video yet again and try to find, I'm just gonna call it the insta kill here, and feel free to finish the game with black. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations. You're just an awesome player. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, bishop to e2. This is the move that ends the game on the spot, as here you don't really have all that much to do. If you capture the bishop, I mean, your the white's queen and rook are under attack. If you capture the bishop, you just get rook captures here with check, bishop captures, and you get another queen into the game. Now you have a rook and the queen against the bishop and queen, but you have, I mean, so many pawns here, even three connected pass pawns on the queen side, of course, completely winning for black. And on the other hand, after bishop to e2, if you don't capture it, you might try something like rook captures here, give up the queen and go into an endgame. Still doesn't work. Bishop captures, you will grab this very dangerous pawn, but after bishop captures here, black is just up 4 pawns, and of course it's a completely winning endgame for black. So here, after bishop to f1, bishop to e2 wins the game for Levon, but he didn't play it. He played rook h to d8, which isn't all that big of a deal. It's not like Levon is unable to find bishop to e2. He just found rook to d8 first. He saw that it was leading to a win, and he didn't really care about, you know, trying something else. If you have a sure thing, you're not going to be, you know, trying to spot hidden beauties in the position. But okay, here rook to b1. Now Mamedyarov gets, you know, new wind in his back, so to say. And now again, what do you play here? Again, bishop to d3, a very strong move as it attacks the rook. You force the rook to move, and then you're going to promote your pawn, or you force white to capture, and then after rook captures, you just have a very strong position here. The queen has to move. You can go rook c3, rook here, and it's just a game over. But again, Levon chooses a different line with bishop captures, king captures, and now he goes rook to c2. Rook to c2 doesn't work. Here, what Levon should have gone for is, again, this rook to d3, because now white has to move the queen, and now after you move the queen, now you don't go rook c3, not this time because king e1, but what you can do is just push a4, and there's nothing white can do against a3 and a2. It's just another nice game over. So after king captures on f1, Levon did a different move. He played rook to c2. He thought, okay, the game's over. I'm just gonna play rook c1 check, and the game ends. So he didn't really look for anything else. And during all of these positions, Levon had more than an hour of time on his clock. So if he used some of it, he would have found everything. But he just pretty much played instantly, and he, well, slowly but surely kept ruining his position. Here Mamedyarov played king to g2, and now you no longer have rook c1 because it's not a check. You're just going to lose your pawn here. So okay, Levon goes rook d to d2 now with a lot of threats here. The queen cannot move as you're going to capture here, and now you're threatening to start pushing your pawn here. But Mamedyarov also gets a say in this. We have queen captures on f6, and now comes a4. So what do you do here? King to h3, and it seems that it will be very hard to find a win for black now, or maybe not, but we'll have to see what happens. Here, Mamedyarov has to decide what to play here. First, we have rook captures on f2, which is, of course, the best move in the position, and here we have queen to h8 check by Mamedyarov. The best move for white that ensured a draw was queen to e7, because you're keeping an eye on a3, you're not allowing black to push it, and you're also threatening a lot of perpetuals here in this position. But okay, Mamedyarov went for queen to h8 check with king to c7, and now he played queen back to d4. And again, it's not great as it was a move ago where Mamedyarov had this queen to e7 move. Here again we have a very dangerous position where black can play a lot of moves. For example, he can play a3, but a3 isn't all that great. Yes, you are threatening a2, but after queen to a7, you're not really threatening a2. There's no way for you to ever push this. And after king captures here, or sorry, rook captures on h2, you get king g4, and now after f6, trying to keep the king away, you will just get queen to a5 check, and you enter a series of perpetuals, as you don't really get a say in this. If you go here, then it's just a queen d8 check followed by queen a5 check, queen d8 check, queen a5 check, a perpetual. And if you touch the d line, for example, if you go king d6, then rook d1 check just wins for white, as now the queen and the rook control the d2 square, so black cannot block with the rook. You're gonna have to go up the board, and then this will just be mate. Queen c7 check, you have to move the king either way, and this will be checkmate. So this doesn't work, but there is another move that works. I would ask you to find it, but you already saw the arrow, so it would be weird if I asked you to do it. But b5 actually continues to win the game for Levon, because here, but it's again a very hard choice to make, but not such a hard choice when you have so much time on the clock. Here you have to calculate that after queen a7 check, king d6. King to g4, you don't want to allow this to come with check, and you don't want, while your king is still on h3, for black to trap you here with h5. King to e5 now, and here you have to see that after a couple of checks, king d4, queen d6 check, you're going to go king to c3, queen e5 check, king b3, there are no more checks, black can just play a3, a2 and win the game. So this was the way to go for Levon, but Levon plays f6. He doesn't want to allow this queen to e5 check, and now he wants to checkmate Mamedyarov. He wants to play h5, prevent the king from reaching g4, and deliver mate. Rook captures on h2 will be checkmate. But now Mamedyarov just played queen captures on a4. And now, what do you play here? The problem now with h5 is that it doesn't work. After h5, Mamedyarov has queen a5 check, and we again enter this line of the perpetual that we already explained. If you go king b8, then again queen d8 check followed by queen a5 check, queen d8 check, queen a5 check. If you go king to c8, it's a similar queen a8 check, and now you either have to go to c7, you cannot touch the d line. If you go king c7 again, queen a5 check, king to c8, you will go here, and then after king d7 check, we just repeat. Or if you try something like king d7, then rook d1, again a possibility, because now after you block, yes, now you can block, but now comes rook captures, and after rook captures, queen captures on b7 with check, and you prevent the pawn from queening yet again. So here, after queen captures on a4, Levon doesn't really have a good continuation here. h5 simply doesn't work, you are not promoting your pawn, and white is just threatening so many perpetuals. So Levon played rook captures on h2, with king to g4, and now h5 with check, with king to f4, and now comes rook h to f2 with check, king to e3 with rook f to e2 with check, king to f3, and here we just have rook f2 check, king e3, rook f e2 check, king f3, and after rook f2 check, it was in this position that Levon Aronian and Shakhriyar Mamedyarov not resigned, but drew their game, which is really amazing. It was Garry Kasparov had an interview during the Grand Chess Tour, and he said that well, he liked all of the games, of course, but that Levon had to work extremely hard in this game to not win it. Which is, I'm sure that when I asked you in this position, let me just go through it, king captures here before the trade of the bishops, when I asked you to find the best move in this position, that many of you found, of course, bishop to e2. It's not, it's in the position, everyone will find it. And of course, if Levon spent a minute on it, or even 30 seconds, probably he would have found it. But first he continued with a weaker move, and then four or five turns in a row he played a weaker move, and all of a sudden Mamedyarov equalized and there was no way back, which is really a shame, as this is really a beauty. First, Mamedyarov playing actively, not a bad idea, giving up the a pawn, but then allowing Levon to capture the 2 pawns with the knight, and then he had so many passed pawns on the queen side. It was just beautiful, and for to ruin it in such a way is just well, it's just sad, but it still is a a very nice game. I don't know who was sadder here, Mamedyarov for again playing a really weird game, or Levon, who really had a chance to get up the rankings in the tournament, but he messed up. But yeah, either way, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it, especially all the niceties that weren't played in the game. I would like to thank Marco De Rohis, Jesper Hodges, Karol Krensky, Philip Mosias, and Ed Vormalt for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Well, you know how it goes. Thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.